And welcome to manual testing class. And I'm still the tutor, Yemi Ayola. So today, I think we've gone through like three sessions in this class, and I think I've covered like three topics from the class, or almost four of the topics have been covered in our textbook. So today, we've got a big one to go this time. So these are the topics for today. We'll be looking at what is test coverage, what test coverage does, benefit of test coverage. We'll be looking at software testing technique. We'll be looking at category of test case design. We'll be looking at understanding test case design. We'll be designing our test case and script tonight. We've got the Q&A session. You can ask me any question. Also, before I start the class, please let's maintain the rules. Please just keep mute so that we don't have any noise at the background while you're watching the video. And the other thing is, please, all your questions, pop them in the chat. Anytime I'm talking, if you have a question, just pop it in the chat. We will discuss everything. And at the end of the class, I'll give you your time. You can ask me any question, anywhere you want me to go back to, whatever you want me to explain further, I'll talk about it in the class. Let's just go further. And so we'll start today's class by saying, what is test coverage? Predominantly, we have said a lot before now. We've talked about when we started the background, I introduced you to everything about testing, making you understand how this process is, what exactly it means to test. Furthermore, I took you to two kind of person. I gave you the SDLC and also I gave you the SDLC. Those life cycle, I explained in details with you. So those life cycle, all the things I've been saying all the way is what we are bringing into today's class. Please and please, if you've been doing this lecture all through, today is kind of key and vital because this leads you anything. I told you that whatever I'm teaching in this class is more of a foundation and anything foundation you are moving further for you to succeed in this career. This is needed. And that's why I keep emphasizing on it. Today we are designing our test scripts. I'm going to tell you about all the testing technique methods. I'm going to discuss everything about it. Test coverage. Test coverage. Two words. We are testing, we want to look at the coverage. They are the two words. So what is test coverage? Test coverage is defined as a metric in software testing that measures the amount of testing performed by a set of tests. So that is what your test coverage is. In a nutshell, if you could remember when I was talking about the STLC, I made mention of RTM, requirement traceability matrix. In this case, this is where is key, test coverage. You can see that when I'm coming, I link whatever we have done in other classes to itself for you to know that everything work hand in hand. You must know the process. That's the way it works with testing. Even with any career, you must understand the integrity, the process, the procedures, how it's done. Test coverage. We are talking mainly about how we can have a visibility that we have actually covered everything required from our own end. If you remember when I was talking at the very beginning, I said we need to test. Why do we need to test? There are consequences if we do not test properly. It could cause business reputation, loss of money. Hence, that is why we need a coverage. The coverage will make us know in a certain functionality we were given. How many tests covered it? Did we do the positive scenario? Did we do the negative scenario? How did we do it? Were the critical testing done? Were this done? All the we need to know that everything was covered. And how do you know that is covered? Is when you map all these things to every every requirement you've been given. That's when it shows what is it. It includes gathering information about which part of a program are executed when running the test suite to determine which branches of conditional statements have been taken. Predominantly, this is what just what I've explained to you is what this paragraph, this sentence is talking about. We want to know exactly what has been covered. In what phase? Where exactly have we touched? Where have we missed it? Where is the gap here? Because the essence of testing is to close the gap, find the bugs, know what is happening before the product goes out. So that's the major thing. So test coverage is defined as a metric in software testing that measures the amount of testing performed by a set of tests. So you take up your functional requirements, your non-functional requirement, you map your test cases to it. Each requirement, make sure they have substantial test cases. Am I covering what the business analyst is? In a nutshell, look, when you finish writing your test cases, there's no harm in doing a peer review. What do I mean by peer review? Call the business analyst. When I finish writing my script, the analyst know I will work hard through my script. This is what I've done. If you tell me this, you've given me a requirement. What is my expectation in this requirement? Am I going to validate many? Is it more of a validation process or more of the functionality? So we need to know if the functionality is working as expected, then we know it's more of validation. We want to check the data are coming in, they are being populated as expected. Those are the things that you need. So by the time you tell the business analyst, I've walked you through, this is what I have done, this is what I have done, this is what I've written for requirement one, requirement two, these are my expectation. Look at my test case. What is your take on it? Then he tells you, oh, you've got a gap here. We've not validated this. You put it into consideration quickly, you update your test script, whatever is being given. So those are the things that we look at when it comes to test coverage. What test coverage does. What does test coverage do to us? What is the main thing that test coverage we are benefiting from test coverage? Though I'm still going to walk you through the benefit of test coverage, but what it does is that finding the area of a requirement not implemented by a set of test case. So what this test coverage will give us is that let's take an example. We've got a list of 100 requirements. By the time you are doing your traceability matrix in terms of your RTM, your TRM. So if you're doing that, then maybe you've gotten to 56 of the requirement, number 56, which says ensure user can search for item B. So you did not write any test case. You found that you did not write any test case. It will give you an edge. Oh, I've missed this requirement. I need to write a set of test cases to match this requirement. That is what you're. So it will help you quickly know the areas that have not been covered. That's the essence of test coverage. That's the essence that we actually look at this set to ensure that we've implemented every set of tests for all our requirements. So it says finding the area of requirement not implemented by set of test cases. Two, it helps us to create additional test cases to increase our coverage. So when you open your when you're doing it, when you're getting all your metrics to look at this requirement, I've written for login. Oh, I forgot this edge case. I did not take blank as a case study for that. Quickly, you can add blank. You can add more scenarios to it. So it will make you think and you put more of it. So hence, this is how test coverage really. The third thing is that it identifying a quantitative measure of test coverage, which is an direct method of quick checks. So, in this sense, you would know you are not going to be all over the place. You would know that you will be able to quantify what exactly you are testing when it comes to logging, when it comes to set functionality. It gives you are more organized. That is the essence of test coverage. You are organized, and as you organize, you are testing for both quality and quantity. Of course, that is the essence that we all are doing when it comes to testing. Identifying meaningless test cases that do not increase coverage. So sometimes you might even see duplicate test cases. Those you have to identify them. So it is better when you do the coverage, you will know, I've written this test case in requirement 5. Why is it coming up in 70? We can't duplicate it. I will know that yes, it's been covered. Then I'll take it as that the same number for both. So I don't need to duplicate search functionality, the same thing, add to cart, add to cart, add to cart in 5 places. They don't make meaning. One is once you have the normal that is been covered, then you might feel that, oh, this test case makes sense. It might not. So it's better it helps you to streamline and know what exactly the script, the cases you're working on. So that's mainly all what test coverage does to us. And the next thing, it takes us to benefit of test coverage. Now I've said what test coverage is. I've told you what it does for us. What exactly is now the benefit of it? What is our gain as a tester? Why do you think that test coverage is necessary for us? One, definitely it can assure the quality of the test. Is a certainty that yes, this test coverage is certainly going to help you with the quality of test. So now, if they ask you, have you tested this application? Yes, I have. These are my coverages. So for logging, you have mapped maybe like 15 or 20 test cases to login. We look at each of the headers of the login. It makes sense because from each of your headers, from the title of the test case, it can tell us what exactly you're trying to achieve. So you can say, of course, you are entering with invalid scenario. So I don't even need to read through the step. I can tell you what exactly is playing in my head. So that's the thing, the benefit of it. Two, it can help identify what portion of the code were actually touched for release of fixes. So if you are doing, once we have a good coverage, it will let us know when a code is when it is touched with your test. When you run your test, it will let you know really, is this been fixed? What exactly the code, what happened to the code? Because I told you the essence of types of testing that we talked about regression and retesting. So when you do regression on the application, you need to be careful. Or when a bug is being fixed and you're retesting, you need to be very careful because once a new bug could be introduced, things could be broken. So all those things are what birth regression testing. So I've retested a particular piece. There's every possibility that you have touched something. It's just, let's take an example of a car. You might have gone to say, oh, the AC of the car is not working. By the time some works are done on it, another thing happened. Maybe the car's radio is not working again. So you need to test. So by the time you pick up the car, after you fix the AC, you could check features there. Is the radio working? Is still the steering, all the other components that they are working as expected. Those are the regression testing we do as that. And also, it can help to determine the parts in your application that were not tested. So those places that we did not test coverage will let us know. So as I've been saying it on and on, is that if we've not tested a particular path very well, the gaps there, test coverage will let us know. That's the benefit of it. It prevents defect leakage. Yes, great one. Because when we have covered a lot of scenario, it will prevent at least the leakage. It will prevent defect leakage. And that is the main thing that you and I are working for. To find the defect, to prevent it, break the system, look at it. But your coverage would have tested all edge cases, everything that we need to know. That's also time, scope, cost can be kept under control. Great upward benefit. So, because when you are testing, I've told you, if you remember when I was talking about it, that you cannot stay on an application because you are trying to find all the bugs there. There are deadlines. We always work with deadlines. So once for you to beat those deadlines, well, I'll tell you, as a tester, test coverage should be it should be a key thing when you are designing your script, to ensure that your test preparation ensure every loophole, every places have been covered, so the time, scope, and cost can be kept under control. Also, defect prevention at early stage of the project lifecycle. So, of course, when we know about the defect coverage, by the time you're running it through, someone else is looking at peer review with you all can even find bugs even prior to the execution or even implementation of the application. So these are the essence of test coverage. We can know things that are missing before then. It can determine all the decision points and parts used in the application, which allow you to increase test coverage. And also gaps in requirements. I said it, test cases and defects at the unit level, code level can be found in an easy way. So everything boils down to us trying to close the gap, testing and checking the quality, test and risk. And for us to know when enough is enough, this is where that the benefit of test coverage is. When we were talking about background, we said keeping software under control. This is where test coverage balances. So that takes us to a break, which it now leads us further to software testing technique. So I put that test coverage as a landing page just for you to understand where exactly we are going into. Everything I'm going to be saying here, I'm going to be repeating mainly major things here severally because I love it to stick in on when when you are going back to the video, you will always remember when people keep talking or emphasizing on a particular thing. It makes you remember all the time. And please, these designs that I'm going to talk about, these techniques that I'm going to talk about, I will tell you that if you are going for manual testing job, it is compulsory, except if that person is not a test manager or is not a test lead, that they won't ask you everything that I've asked that I'm going to teach you here today. Everything that I've been talking about previously is except this and this. The thing with this manual testing is that if you can do your due diligence in terms of understanding what I've given you, all the things that I've been giving you, those two words, all the things that I'm telling you, the twin words, all the way that I've explained to you, if you can talk yourself through it, I'm telling you, you've just gotten yourself a wonderful job. So that is just for you to understand the technique, put it in your own word, let it make meaning to you. That's the way we are going. And please, at the end of this class, I'm going to give you assignment. And at the end of tomorrow's class, I'm also going to give you assignment. I'll give you one today, I'll give it tomorrow. And those two assignments, if you are doing them, your mentors will go through them with you, those assignments. And if you do them conveniently, just keep whatever you have done as your baseline copy, because that's what you will come back again when you start testing. Maybe in the next 2 years, you'll laugh at yourself, oh, and you go back again. You would see that you have done so well at the beginning. If once you follow the steps, you're going to get there. So, what is software testing technique. Software testing technique helps you design better test cases, design better test cases. Since exhaustive testing is not possible, remember background of testing. When I was talking to you about exhaustive testing, keeping software under control, you can see that everything is coming back. I'm not the one bringing it. That's the way it is. Manual testing techniques help reduce the number of test cases to be executed while increasing test coverage. They help identify test conditions that are otherwise difficult to recognize. That is the essence of software testing technique. It will help you design a better test case. That's the major thing about software testing technique. Because we've been talking about keeping software under control, exhaustive testing is not possible. So, how do we want to? We can't be complaining that we can't do exhaustive testing, but we need to do a we still need to test the application vigorously to ensure that no, it is error free. That is our goal. So we need to put some things in place. That's why software testing technique is here. So what are these? So we start with category of test case technique. What are the categories? We've got specification based, which is black box technique. Don't worry, I've just scratched it. I'm still going to explain further. But there are five of this specification based technique that we need to know in this foundation, because this level that you're doing is foundation level, and this foundation level is major level in testing. I keep saying it. That's it. So it's just five of it that you need to know. The first one, the equivalent partitioning, BVA, boundary value analysis, decision table testing. We talk about state transition testing, use case testing. These are the five that you know in terms of specification based. I'm going to explain one after the other with examples. Don't worry. Then the next one we're talking about is structure based, which is white box technique. Don't worry, I'm still going to explain it to you. But just scratching the surface, structure based testing technique are used to explore the system or component structures at several levels. At the component level, the structure of interest would be the program structure, mainly going into deep into the code. That is what the structure based technique is. But you will see how we do it when it comes to manual testing, such as decisions at the integration level. We may be interested in exploring the way um, the way components interact with each other. So those are the kind of things we explore when it comes to structure based technique. The first one is specification based. It's called black box. The second one is called structure based, which is white box technique. Let's explore each of these. So it takes us again further to category continued. So we've got experience based technique. Don't worry, I'm still going to explain it tonight. Are those that you fall back on when there is no adequate specification from which you derive specification based test cases, or no time to run full structure set of tests. So, what is experience based? Experience. So, let's take an example. You are in the internship. Now, you've all been put into different groups and different sprint at sprint level, and also different teams. In your team's mandate is different from A, B, C, D. So, in your own team mandate, let's say, for example, you're working on a website project. If you explore a lot, you just be inquisitive at this time. Grab more. just want more, always want more, and ask several questions. You can face the developer at any time here. You can talk to the BA. Just ask them questions. Those questions you're asking makes you learn more. So at this phase, let's say you finished, and it's a website you were meant to design, you understand it, and you partook in every area, every aspect of this sprint, of the internship within your team. You contributed, you did everything. Fantastic. So you've gained your experience at that level. Let's take internship away now. You have now gone to the field because you are at your place of work now. That's where the internship is structured. So now you have now gone out of it. You have now gotten a job, a paid job. Let's say 60,000, 50,000. You've gotten it. Now, the same website, something like that is what you have been given to now work on in the next project. The advantage, someone would tell me, if I tell you to pop it in the chat, because you already have an experience of it, you will be more vast than others that don't have the experience. So if your mandate was to create a website, adding to cart and doing the likes, and the same thing is what they are giving you, you will have more ideas than others. While we go to Google, you have already tested it. So your experience is what you bring into it. So that's what we are saying, experience-based technique. And also researching will give you quite a number. So, but this experience-based, it has two, which is error guessing and also exploratory testing. By the names of these by their names, you will understand that this is what is happening within the specified technique that we are using. Error guessing. So you are just trying to to guess, just like a guessing format. It's a very simple technique that takes advantage of tester skills. So it takes advantage of your skills, your intuition, your thinking, your experience. That is the way the error guessing is. So, like you now, you've worked in this. You can just be bringing out, okay, we can test this phase of it. We can do this. We can do that. So those are the things that error guessing goes with. Exploratory testing. Explore. You want to explore the system. What does it mean? Play with the system. You don't have any test written down, but you want to know the application. When you get to um, when you start maybe like a new job and they already have an application on ground, if it's not a greenfield project, what do I mean by a greenfield? Something that they've not developed before. They don't have it. You're all starting. It's a kickoff. You're all starting together, and you can't explore anything at that time because there's no application on them. But if this is a place that you've got application, they are doing enhancements and the likes. So you want to get there, you want to explore the system. While you're exploring, in your head, you are thinking, bringing all your experience into it. You have questions, you have ideas, you are finding bugs. Those are the meaning of exploring the system. Though I'll still talk further about. So exploratory testing is a technique that combines the experience of testers with a structured approach to testing, while specifications are either missing or inadequate, and where there is severe time pressure. So it's something you can explore, you can do it. So those are the categories of test case technique. We are going to talk about them. So let's start from the first one. So now, test case design. So you'll ask me, I'm still going to explain test cases further today. Test case design are predominantly classified according to the nature of testing into three types. One, where I'm coming from the beginning, specification based technique. Second one will be structure based technique. And the last one will be experience based technique. Now let's go further. The first one will be specification based technique. Please, please, and please, I need your attention now, everyone. Just come back if you've been doing everything. So now let's talk. It's an interesting topic, but this five is going to always pop up. So the first one is that I'm bringing you up to it to say we've defined specification based technique. This is also popularly known as black box design technique, which I've said. In the design technique, the test cases are written by the client's functional requirement and specification into consideration. So we are taking the client's functional requirements. We will now be um, designing our script according to the functional requirement. What are the functional requirements? I explained to you that we've got functional testing and we've got non-functional testing. What are functional requirements? Login is a functional requirement. Search, add into carts. Those features like that are functional requirements. They'll tell you each of the fields, they'll tell you what the expectations is, what they want the users to do, what the requirements is, the acceptance criteria, all will be stated there. If they are not, you need a definition of it. Bring it up, come out with ideas, and let's know. So those are the things that, and it's not that, don't guess. When you come with an idea, when you have things, ask the question, why didn't you put this here? Is it necessary? Are we not going to? If they are going to, oh, sorry, we missed it. Can you please add it in the requirement? Ensure that the requirement documents are up to date. All those things is still part of our job. The internal workings of the product are irrelevant. Therefore, the name black box is used in this case. So black box, we are closing our eyes. We are just talking about the functionality. I don't want to know what is in the code. I don't want to know what is at the background. I have given you a valid username and a valid password. Give me my answer. Take me to the landing page. I want to see my product. That is what it is. So it's saying, I've closed my eyes. It's black box. I don't want to see anything. It's a light. I don't want to see. Just let me see the features it's working on. So this one now is not divided into subtitle. We have said it before, which we talked about equivalent partitioning, boundary value analysis. We talked about decision table technique. We talked about state transition technique. And I also listed use case testing technique. Let me take it further, equivalent partitioning technique. So I'm going to discuss the five one after the other with example. They are very easy to understand, but you can mix it up. Equivalent partitioning. So if you've said you started writing test cases, you must understand the technique before you write test cases. Because a good test case will look at all these coverages, will look at the type of techniques you're using. It might speak further. It brings you into a leverage of coverage too for you to understand. Equivalent class partitioning allows you to divide set of test conditions into a partition which should be considered the same. This software testing method divides the input domain of a program into classes of data from which test cases should be designed. Forget about everything I've said. Just know that equivalent class partitioning allows you to divide set of test conditions into a partition, equivalent partitioning, equivalent, equal partitioning, which should be considered the same, equal. So that's the way we want to test it now. So look at it because it's going to confuse you with the next one I'm coming. And that's why I take my time to explain these two very well. For example, consider an application that will validate your password. We have an application and we want to validate our password. The requirement for your password to be valid, for it to be valid, it should contain a minimum of 8 characters. Be listing it for my password to be valid. We also know that most of the time, for your password, there are certain things that is going to be. Is that example that I'm using that I know that everyone would have seen should have should be alphanumeric? What does it mean? Both letters and numbers, alphanumeric, and contains at least one special character, dollar, exclamation, at, all those are special character, pounds, all those are those pound symbol, all those symbols are special character. In this case, let's take our inputs. The input can be in different equivalent partitions, such as valid inputs, meeting the specified criteria. That is our positive scenario, happy part. I'm happy, 8 character, alphanumeric, it has special character. So let's take an example. My full name is Olayemi. So I say Olayemi 1. Olayemi 1. Olayemi is 7 characters. Olayemi is 7. Take 1. That makes it 8 character. I've met the first condition. They said it must be alphanumeric. Hmm. Did I meet the second condition? No. Alphanumeric. Did I meet it? Olayemi is still the only thing I put. If I add 1 to it, I've met the second condition, which is Olayemi 1. That is alphanumeric. Then he told me, he said the third condition is that at least one special character. Okay, and I'll say Olayemi 1 star is a special character. So I added to it. So the first condition, it must be 8. It's already 8. The second condition, it must have been, at least it must be alphanumeric. My name is Olayemi. Those are letters. And I added 1, which made it alphanumeric. And the last condition is I have added special character, which I added star. That means it meets the happy part. That is my happy scenario. Woo, that's fine. Now, let me say I only put Olayemi is 7 character already, and I add star to it is 8 character. So it met the first condition, which says I should put 8 characters, which is 8 characters. It met it, and it does and it should have one special character. So I've added one special character, which makes it 8, which meets the criteria. But it left one. It's not alphanumeric because they are all letters. So those things I can, with password testing, I can bring up 20 to 30 scenarios now. So that's the way you build those inputs. So at this phase, we have said we have put the valid scenario. We made this valid specified criteria and invalid inputs. What are the invalid inputs? The invalid inputs are the ones I've given you. Olayemi asterisk is an invalid one. If I put only Olayemi without no special character, no number, that's that's an invalid scenario. I mean, it's an invalid input. So, or if I put only all special characters, it's invalid input. If I put just Yemi, it's 4 letters. It's invalid. So inputs where one category contains 8 character, all alphabets, another input category contains 8 character, all numeric, where another partition contains 8 characters containing only one special character, and so on. Those are just, the list is uncountable. I can bring a lot of lists for you. So this is just an example of the equivalent partition. I know it might now look, oh, you understand it from the password. Let's move it. Let's move further. Let's take an example. My first example will be, let's put PMB input condition and valid for valid one. So let's say input conditions are valid between this. So this is our test case. I've given you one example. I'm coming to another example with numbers. So in here, read it very well. The input condition is 1 to 10 and 20 to 30. 1 to 10 and 20 to 30. You can say that this just the English here says and. So it means 1 to 10, stop there. Now, and continue from 20 to 30. So let's now divide our example. So the first one, I'll take it as, I'll cut it into 5 equivalent partitioning for the class. So let me start. You can see in front of them, you'll be seeing the bracket. So for equivalent partitioning, my invalid will be from, when I mean the dash dash is from -1, I mean from -10, -5, -1, then to 0. Don't forget, my input condition, my test case, my scenario is 1 to 10, 1 to 10, 1 to 10. And I'm talking about equivalent partitioning. You know, the first one was easy. That's why I'm bringing this again. The first layer that you see here is what I'm meant to test, but they did not give me the number at large. Reason I'm using this is because you might be asked to test 1 billion. It's a lot of numbers. You cannot test 1, 2, 3, 400 to 500 to 1,000 to 2,000 to 10,000 to 1 million, then to 100 million to 1 billion. It's going to take forever. You might not even finish testing. You might not finish testing before the product. You might not even get to half of the way. Even if we bring 20, 100 testers in, we will keep following the loop and wasting time. So, but we want to know that we want to have good test coverage. That is why we are testing here. Our expectation is that everything that I've listed in these 5 equivalent classes, they should they should be valid for all. That is the norm, the concept about equivalent partitioning, the concept about this technique. Those are the concepts. So I'll take -1, -2, I mean, take -3, -2, -1 to 0. They are invalid because it hasn't even gotten to 1. So now 1 to 10 is valid. So if you take either one, even if you take 1, if you take 5, if you take 9, 10, they are valid scenario because it says 1 to 10. And when I say this and means it stopped. We are not doing anything in between 11 and 19. So in between 11 and 19 is invalid scenario, but we need to consider that edge case. So pick a number. You can pick 11, you can pick 15, you can pick 19. Test it. They're invalid scenario. Then it says 20 to 30. 20 to 30 is a valid scenario because it's part of our valid condition, our input condition, our test case is part of it. So I can decide to take 25. I can decide to take 27. That is still under the valid condition for me. Then from 31.5, even 31.001 is invalid till infinity, is invalid. So those are the edge case we have here. So if you take these valid scenarios, this invalid, I've broken them into 5 equivalent partitioning. So now let me take it as class 1 from it. So let's say the first one, this invalid one, I take -2. Is one of the numbers I've taken from there. So -2, I know is an invalid scenario. So it has covered this equivalent for me. 1 to 10, I can decide to take 5. Number 5 is a valid scenario because it's still within that. 11 to 19, I can decide to take 19 or 15, 17, anything within that range. It's an invalid scenario. I must make sure I cover it. 20 to 30, I can take 5. 31 to to infinity, I can take 50. So these are the classes. So now let me take the classes. So for me, I took -2 as first class, as the invalid one. The next one, I took 3 as the valid scenario. Then the next one, I took 15 as invalid scenario. I took 25 as valid scenario and took 45. If I test these classes properly, the concept with um, this technique is that I have covered, I've got a good test coverage because I've touched each of the edge cases. Because the way if I test -2, it suffice for -1, for -100, for 0. It's the same testing. It's going to still be invalid. That's the expectation. So that's the concept about it. Equivalent partitioning. Please and please, I've explained it with normal password, using password, and I've used numbers. Two things, data, I've used it to be. So now it takes me to the next one, which is BVA. We call it BVA, Boundary Value Analysis Technique. BVA, Boundary Value Analysis. So boundary value is based on testing at the boundaries between partitions. Testing at the boundaries between partitions. It includes maximum, minimum, inside, outside boundaries. So at the boundaries, when you hear boundary value analysis, we are touching all the edge cases. Remember, remember, in equivalent partitioning, I was within it. I ensured that I've this time around, everything within the boundary are valid. It has to be tested properly. So when you're doing boundary value analysis, you have to check the maximum, the minimum, inside, outside of the boundaries, typical values and errors. So in this case, the values from the lower boundaries and the upper bound are considered. So for example, let's take an example. An application aspect, as an application accepts 4-digit numerical numbers. ATM. Let's use your normal ATM. You've gone to the machine, you want to withdraw money, and you've done that. So here, the range is from 1,000 to 999. So that's the four. That's the four numbers you can use. Here, one case will contain your input value. You should be able to test 999 and see. And also, you will be able to test 9998 just to make sure that we've tested within it. Another case is that we take the 1,000, we take the 99999. Another case, we can do 000 as long as it's 4, and we can do a 5 digit. That is an example of a value that we can test with. Let me now take you to a further example. Here, the input condition here is between 1 to 10. 1 to 10. When we want to test we're using boundary value analysis. The concept of this one is that it will work, it's very useful when we have big numbers. I've told you I want to test 1 billion data. It's very big. 1 million data is very big. I'm going to sleep there in the next 1 year, 2 years. I've not finished testing it. Even if I do my 7 hours daily, I cannot. Even if I make it 24 hours, I won't be able to finish testing properly because by the time I take one, you test this, take this, the day is gone, and we are going to 1 million. How many days have we got in a year? 365 days. Let's say in the leap year, 366. So take 366 out of 1,000. That is already 1 year. That's 1 year. So it means three years. I'm still on testing one value. That's the so we need to follow the concept behind boundary value analysis, behind these techniques. So with this boundary, our expectation is that with that big number, don't forget this first line. I said when you're doing BVA, it includes maximum, minimum, inside, outside the boundaries. So now for for boundaries, the boundaries that we want to test, my input condition, my test case, when I mean my input condition, I mean my test case here is 1 to 10. So for me to get the boundaries, how to test here is that I will go outside the boundary. Where is my outside? From 0, 0, -1, -2. So I can take -1, 0, 1, 2. That's outside of my boundary. Outside, and also I've gone outside, and outside is 0, inside is 1, 2. So, and I will also go and do 9, 10, 11, 12. So I've still got maximum, minimum, inside, outside conditions validated. Hence, I've covered, I've done a good test coverage, justice to those data. So let's bring it to 1000. For 1000 now, the boundary values will be, let's take -5, minus 2, 0, 1, 2, 3. I stop there. I move straight to 500, 499, 500, 501. If I do 501, I move directly to 999, 1000, 1001, 1002, or 1020. That means I've tested maximum, minimum, inside, and outside. That's the way BVA works. So you can see equivalent partitioning and BVA are tricky. Interview question. What is the difference? Just put it down. What is the difference between equivalent partitioning and boundary value analysis? The only thing we need from you, define both of them for me. Thank you. That takes us to the third one, decision table. Sweet technique. Very lovely technique. A decision table is also known as to cost-effective table. This software testing technique is used for functions which respond to combinations of inputs and events, like we do in mathematics. Well, for my own first degree was mathematics, so we do combination, permutation. Those were part of the things we were doing. Lovely topic. You bring things together, you can move them. That's how we prove our own theorem. So, combination of inputs or events. For example, submit button. That's the example we want to use now. So, for a submit button to be enabled, let's take an application. If you're filling an application, once you open the form on your GUI, that's on the website, when you open the form on your laptop or on your phone, you're trying to fill a form. The first thing before you start filling, you will see that the submit button is grayed out. We are going to see an example when we start. It will be grayed out. Reason why it's grayed out is that it's telling you that you can't use me now until you finish working on the expected and the mandatory. Give me your details. Then you will be able to, I will enable myself. Then you get into the application. That's what it's trying to tell you. I'm not available now. It's until you give me the right and valid data. That's when I'll be available. Fantastic. So now a submit button should be enabled if user have entered all required field. That's why you see on some website, they'll tell you asterisk is mandatory. So if those mandatory fields are not filled and you hit the submit button, even if it's not grayed out and hit the submit button, it will turn up a red line to say, fill this form. You cannot submit. This form is so it throws up an error. That's the expectation. That's what we're expecting the system to go. So now let's use the decision table technique to put for this. An example is the first task is to identify functionalities where the output depends on a combination of inputs. If there are large input sets of combination, then divide it into smaller subsets, which will help you, which will be helpful for managing a decision table. The concept behind decision table is that the reason we are using these techniques is just to ensure that we have good test coverage and we have covered what is expected before we can say testing is done. Enough is enough. That's it. So this is an example. So we want to divide it into smaller subsets to ensure. Okay. Into smaller subsets. For every function, you need to create a table and list down all types of combinations of inputs and its respective outputs. This helps to identify a combination that is overlooked by the tester. So everything I've written here is just I'm explaining, just explaining how the main concept that I want you to understand in the table. Our case study here is just for you to know that we want that submit button to be enabled. So that takes us to the cases that we want to look at. Example of decision table technique. What are the example? It will take me to this lovely rule. So I told you that my input is that we want submit button. This is our submit button. We want it to work. So the data, this is the data behind it. So for me, I want to have a good test coverage that I've covered every line in the data. So how do I ascertain that I have given a good coverage? I've given good justice to the testing of that submit button that was my input, was my functionality to test. So I divided it into smaller subsets for a good coverage. So I took row one. In my form, the only thing that were in my form was name, email, message. So if I add the three of them, my expectation is my output is that the submit button will be enabled. So let's start the input. So I said, remember, F is false, T is true. So false is that I did not add anything there. I put an invalid thing there. Then T means it's true. So the first one is that in my rule one, in my rule one, I added name. Name as I put name false. I didn't put any name there. I left it. I didn't put anything. I put something wrong. Email. Mm, In the email, nothing. In the message, nothing. So what's my output? What's my expectation? I did not put anything there. My expectation is that the submit button will never come on. It will still be grayed out, so it will be there. That's my expectation. So that's my expectation for rule one. Let's go to rule two. In rule two, it says, okay, this time around, I remember my name is Yemi. I put my name in, and in my name, I put the right name, Yemi Ayola. That's fine. My name is correct. He's happy with the name. Now, in the email, I decided not to put an email. And I've also decided not to put a message. So definitely, one is one is true, then the rest is false. So my submit button, what's your expectation? It will never be enabled. Then the third one is that name. I didn't put a right name. I might just use characters, just special characters. Didn't put anything. My email, fantastic. I put my right email, yemi@test.com. Good email. My message, not no message. I just put nothing into the message. My expectation in for the role two is the same thing. The submit button won't be enabled. Don't forget, I'm touching every face to ensure I've got good coverage. So this submit button, if I have the form, if I test all this edge case, I can tell you predominantly that for that submit button to enable, I've done justice to the submit button. I go to rule 4. In rule 4, my name is right, email correct, my message, no message. My expectation is it shouldn't. The reason is that they've said in the criteria is that for a submit button to be enabled, these three things must be fulfilled correctly. But I've not been able to do justice to fill the three correctly. I'm trying to ensure that I test every edge case, everything that has to do here. Rule 5, I've got false name, false email, true message. Now, this time around, I've come again with lovely message to give them. It still fails. The submit button is not enabled. Rule 6, I've got name to be true. I've got email false. I've got the message to be true. It's still false. 7, the same thing. False, name, true, email, true, message. Then 1 is still false. Then the happy part. Rule 8, Yemi Ayola, yemi@test.com. My message, I love testing. That is it. True. And that gives me enable my submit button, and that comes to true. That's an example of you testing edge case for decision table technique. That takes us to state transition testing technique. What is state transition testing technique? In this technique, the application is tested using graphical representation of the different transition states of an application, which are further dependent on various features and functionalities of that application. It is primarily based on the state machine model. Forget everything that I'm saying. It's just showing you a pictorial place, a graph to ascertain that this is how we want the application to look. That takes us to the guy that is working with us, the solution architect. It gives us a graph of how the system is going to integrate to each other, how it's going to talk to each other, how it's going to move from point A to B. Let's look at it. An example. In the following example, if the user enters a valid password, so when I mean the user uses O12, a valid password, if the user enters a valid password in any of the first 3 attempts, the user will be able to log in successfully. If the user enters the invalid password in the first or second trial, the user will be prompted to re-enter the password. Then the user enters password incorrectly 3 times, the action as taken and the account will be blocked. That is the way we enter our PIN. Look at this. Look at this now. Take this example. I have a machine. I've gone to the ATM. I start. This is me. This is the machine. So I'm standing there. At my first, that's my starting point. So at my first trial, the first trial, happy part, very good. I know my pin. My pin is correct. I start for the first trial. I mean, for the first time, the first edge case, first try. I know my correct pin. So if I know my correct pin, when I start from here, I put in my pin 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my pin for my card. So when I put 1, 2, 3, 4, fantastic. That is the pin. First try, correct pin. Fine. Access granted. I need this and I follow the rule. I get my money out. Go back again. That's my first try. Happy part. Very happy I can go. Now the second try. From the first one, so the first, I start from here. I try the first time and I go, I can't remember my pin. I put 1, 2, 3, 5. It tells me incorrect pin. That's my first try. I go back again. I try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my second try. So it goes at my second try now. It will go there. It will tell me correct pin. Well done. Access granted. Now let me go from the start again. From the first one, I tried the first trial. I tried it. Oh no. 1, 2, 3, 5. Car. Incorrect pin. So it tells me incorrect pin. Okay. Okay, I remember now. I tried the second time. 1, 2, 3, 6. Oh, incorrect pin. Okay. Let me try the third time. I know. I know the pin. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fantastic. It tells me correct pin. Access granted. Now let me do the fourth time. I start again. Incorrect pin. 1, 2, 3, 5. Incorrect pin. That's what it tells me. Now I try the second trial. 1, 2, 3, 6. Incorrect pin. It tells me. The third time I try it again. 1, 2, 3, 7. Incorrect pin. Now, as it says incorrect pin, immediately it tells me account blocked. I'm unable to access the account because it says after the third attempt. So I've done the first time. I put 5, 6, 7, 7. Then I tried the fourth time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I put 8 as access blocked. So I'm unable to access it. So that's the logic and concept behind state transition. It's just the graph. It tells us how it integrates, how we are expecting it. So if you yourself look at this, it's easier for you to design a script from here. It gives you a good picture and you're able to see what's use case testing technique. Just it tells us the different scenario that an end user, who are the end users, people using you and I also mimic. I told you we stand in gap for the end users, but mainly the scenarios that an end user will encounter when using or interacting with the application are tested in this technique. So it tells you the actor is, you get me, he has to do this and this. So what is expected, how the link, how is interacting, how the user is using, going to use the application. That's what the use case testing technique takes you. That takes us further. And these are the 5 I've given you. Please and please go back if you don't understand. Ask me question when we finish. So that takes us to the next one. Structure-based testing technique. Don't forget, I'm coming from test case design. That's where I'm coming from. I've only done one specification based testing. That's what I have done. But because it's got a lot of categories there, that's why. So structure based testing deals with an within an application. In structure based testing deals with an application internal structure and architecture. So this they are the internal things That's what structure-based testing. It lets you know the integration, how things are coming together. When we say we've logged in, how that thing linked to open a landing page for us, how it linked to. So those are the things that is coming. So it's mainly code-based. So here the source code used to develop the application is tested. Therefore, in the case of structure-based testing, a good understanding, a good understanding of the code and internal flow are necessary in order to be able to design the test cases. Structure based testing is called white box testing. White, I'm going inside down. I want to see everything that is bringing that form from outside. That is what you're trying to test in this phase. The quality of the code is analyzed based on different factors such as code coverage, readability, maintainability, security, or bug vulnerability, reusability, etc. Those are the things that we're trying to get when it comes to structure based testing. There are levels when it comes to structure based. And that takes us to the third one, experience based testing. I've talked about this. As the name states, this testing technique is based on testers' experience and expertise in similar applications and technology. I gave you the example I gave you was mainly you now working on this website. You have vast knowledge, you understand. And please note, I said it even at the beginning of the course that there is nothing under the sun that is not been created. Let's Is it mobile phones you want to test? Just put it there. You will have various versions of mobile phone from the old to new. Are you talking about websites? One page website, multiple page website. Talk about anything to do with website. You will bring it out. Is it a fintech or e-commerce application? You will get 1,000,001 on when you do your research. So it's that experience you gather together. It's just, and this is further divided into error guessing, exploratory testing. Let's go to the first one, error guessing. Error guessing is a software testing technique based on guessing the error which can prevail in the code. So you might be guessing what can happen. If we don't put anything there, what's going to happen? Has this edge case been considered, Mr. Developer? Have you looked at this? If we don't put anything, if you don't put, if is blank considered, is null, how does null behave, how does blank behave, how does special character behave, what happens, does this crash the system? All those things are the things that we want to look at when it comes to edge case, in case you're doing a peer review. Then the technique is heavily based on the experience, where the test analyst use the experience to guess the problematic part of the of the testing application. That's the application on the test. Hence, the test analyst must be skilled and experienced for better error guessing. To be honest, as you're saying it today in this class, you're all skilled, you're equipped. That's the essence. You're in this class. The technique counts a list of possible errors or error prone situations. Then testers write a test case to expose this error, to design test cases based on the software testing technique. The test analyst can use the past experience to identify the test condition. That's error guessing. So guidelines for error guessing, the test should use the previous experience of testing similar application, understand the system under test. What do I mean system under test? The project you're working on. The system you're testing is still under test, is not live. Knowledge of typical implementation error. remember previous troubled areas. So that's why we used error guessing. What are the areas that you know that people have been you've been finding issues with? Those are the things that you need to remember. Evaluate historical data and test results. So from your analysis, when you bring things out, evaluate them. Let's know. So that's the guideline for error guessing. What's exploratory testing? Exploratory testing, as I said, by the name explore, is a type of software testing where test cases are not created in advance, but testers check system on the fly. So you just go there, start exploring the system. You don't have the test, you don't need to write test case for exploratory testing. You're exploring, you're playing with things, you want to know, you're inquisitive. So those are the things. They may note down ideas about what to test before the test execution. So you might be thinking it's a login scenario. These are the things I need to look. Let me put invalid things. Let me is they said it's meant to be alphanumeric. Oh, certainly I'll make sure I use numbers and also alphabets. So these are the things that I'm going to use. So so you might note some edge case, just know some things that you want to do. Then the focus of exploratory testing is more on testing as a thinking activity. So that's exploratory testing. Exploratory testing is widely used in agile models. So you are going to be doing. I'll advise you. You can explore the application, use it, play with it, break it, do anything on the application, and it's all about discovery, investigation, and learning. Play, explore, just learn. It emphasizes personal freedom and responsibility of the individual tester. These techniques helps identify critical bugs that may have been missed in traditional testing. So that's exploratory testing. What are the techniques? It is not random testing, but it's ad hoc testing. So it's an ad hoc testing, and the purpose is to find bug. And as I've said, what is the purpose? Our main purpose is to find bugs. And that's the reason why we all are here as testers. It's just for us to find bug. And what are ad hoc testing? Ad hoc testing is performed without planning or documenting anything. It's done to discover defects, bugs, or unexpected behavior. So that's the major thing that's the reason. It's not that it's planned, it's not that's why it's an ad hoc one. It's structured and rigorous. It's rigorous because it makes you know that this is what is expected from us. This is it. So you do a rigorous testing just to make sure that it's, it's cognitively structured as compared to the procedural structure of scripted testing. The structure comes from chapter, time, boxing, etc. So it's just mainly thinking from your just think and just know I want to test this. What are my expectations? What are the things I'm expecting to come in place? Those are the things that we put down. It's highly teachable and manageable. It is not a technique, but it is an approach. It's just an approach. Just come. That's why you can see it's not just a random test, but it's something for you to play with, get an understanding of it, learn from that application, look at it. What do you think is missing here? Those are it. What actions you can perform next is governed by what you are doing currently. So that takes us to we are getting to mainly now the big part of it. I've given you all the techniques, category of testing. So now, understanding test case design. I'm going to talk about three of these items, functions. So the first one is test condition, an item or event of a component or system that should be verified by one or more test cases. e.g., a function, transaction, feature, quality, attributes, or structure element. Let me bring it in with more understanding. Let's take it outside IT. Let me bring it in that test condition. What is test condition? Let's take an example. A patient has gone to the surgery, is gone to the surgery. The first person you meet at the surgery is the receptionist, and he or she asks, um, hello, patient A, what is your name and your date of birth? You provide those details. Okay, we've ascertained that is you. Now, the receptionist, before he can push you to know which doctor is going to take care of you, he needs to know what condition has brought you here. So patient A says, I've got stomach ache. So the condition for patient A going to the surgery is stomach ache. Finish. Let's keep that at one side. We'll continue after we move into the test case. So I said an item or event of a component or system that should be verified by one or more test cases. So that leads us to test cases. What is test case? A test case is a set of input value, execution preconditions, input values, execution precondition, expected result. Remember, actual, expected, my first twin words at the beginning of the class. You can see now, I told you all through your testing career, that word should be part of you. Expected result and execution post condition developed for a particular objective or test condition. So let me take you back to the patient. I told you the patient said stomach ache, and the receptionist has added stomach ache to the patient and forwarded to the doctor. So what the doctor would do before he calls patient A to say stomach ache, the doctor needs to write test cases. So the doctor will look, oh, stomach ache, quickly. What can be the first condition? So when my expected is that when my patient A comes in, these are the questions I want to ask the patient A. So the test cases, the doctor start writing it. When I touch the stomach, is it paining you? That's the first question. The doctor has written that he's going to ask the patient. The second question is that when you drink a cup of water, are you feeling the pain? That's the second test case. Now, the third test case is that when you stand up and stretch, are you feeling the test case? Let's take those three test cases and keep them. That's the test cases the doctor have written. You know, the doctor haven't seen the patient yet. The receptionist just said, patient A is coming and the condition he has is stomach pain. Now the doctor has written three test cases, that this is the question I'm going to ask patient A. So that's the doctor's patient A. Is expected is that when I see my patient, I want to ask him these three questions to be sure that really he's having that stomach pain. That takes us to an example which I use login. So for login, I used valid username, valid password. That's one of my test case. Another, I used invalid username and I used invalid password. That's another test case. Another one is that I use valid username and invalid password. Another test case I could use is that use invalid username and a valid password. So those are the things that I can bring in. So that takes us to this next person, which is test procedure specification, which we call test script. What is test script? A sequence of action for execution of a test case. Remember, our fundamental process tells us five. In number three of it says implementation and execution. This is the guy that needs it. This is the guy that really wants it. This test script guy is the one that has everything that that third phase of the fundamentals process is talking about. He's a big person. This um, this test script, test procedure specification you're seeing. Now, let me take you back to the doctor, patient, doctor scenario. Now, all the while, we've only designed a script for test condition and test cases. That is, we are just designing the test cases. Now, we after the doctor have called, okay, he pressed the bell and say, patient A, can you come to room 6, please? Patient A walks into room 6. When patient A got into room 6, the doctor asked the three test cases he has prepared. And he says, don't forget, that is the expectation of the doctor. The expectation of the doctor is that when I ask him these three questions, I'm not expecting my patient to have pains with these three question, because that is what the requirement has given me. The requirement has told me that when patient A comes with stomach ache, when I touch the stomach, I as a doctor, nothing should happen to patient A. When I tell patient A to drink water, nothing should happen to patient A. When I tell patient A to stand up and stretch, nothing should happen to patient A. That is the expectation from the requirement, and that's the expectation of the doctor, because I worked with what the client has given me. So now I am saying the patient, this is my actual result. I want to justify to know whether really this is my expectation. Welcome, patient A. I'm your doctor for today. This is Dr. Yemi. My first question to you. When I touch your test case, can you lie down, please? When I touch your stomach, are you feeling the pain? No, doctor, I'm not feeling that pain. Fantastic. So my expected result is that it's working as expected. She didn't feel the pain. So what happened to that test case? Is it pass or fail? It's pass. I'm happy. So please, can you come down from the bed, please? Can you have this cup of water? Can you drink it? Do you feel any pain? No, doctor. I don't feel any pain. You don't feel any pain? Fantastic. That's my expectation. So my actual result is that she's not feeling any pain, still working as expected. My status is it that pass or fail? It's pass. I'm happy. Now the third one is that can you stretch your back? Oh, doctor, I feel that sharp pain. Really? Oh, so my expectation is that he should not feel that sharp pain. But the actual now is that when the patient stretches, is feeling the pain. What happens? Is it pass or fail? It's fail because it did not. So in a nutshell, what I've covered there is to tell you that a test script has been designed with everything I've said. So that takes us to, we are going to our practical class now. Let me see the time. So that's going to take me 10 minutes. So what is the advantage of detailed test condition? More flexibility in relating other test work products, better and more details monitoring and control, contributes to defect prevention by occurring early. You can see with everything the doctor has done, we can really pick to know that this is what is wrong with the patient. If I did not write those test cases down, I wouldn't have been able to complete my triage or with the patient I have and with me. So also relates testing work products to stakeholders in terms that they can understand. You can see I brought it back to the world where you are going to understand it. That's why I gave you that example. I feel that example is a clear picture of our day-to-day activity. So it gives you a better understanding. That's so when we as testers, when we are relating to users, we want to talk to them. You have to talk to them in a way they will understand. So you are testing the login. So what is the problem you're having? Now, the reason I'm telling the user A, what the expectation is that if I enter blank, if I don't enter anything or user name or password, I'm not expecting this button to be enabled, but currently is enabled. I didn't use anything. It should be grayed out. That's the first thing. Now I've even entered blank. I didn't enter anything. And I click, okay, I'm able to log in. So those expectations, you need to be able to explain with them. Just one sentence where people can understand. Influences and directs other testing activities, but also other development activities. That is the advantage of the test condition. It brings ideas in. It makes you know where exactly you are missing out, enables test design, implementation, and execution to be optimized by more efficient coverage. You see, I'm still diving into test coverage, into the way things have to be done. And base is for clearer horizontal trace ability, more of the ability within a test level. That's the advantages of test case. So what is test case? They are often preconditioned, predefined set of instruction addressing the steps to be taken in order to determine whether or not the end product exhibits the desired outcome. This instruction may include predefined sets of inputs, conditions, along with their respective end product. All those story, all those examples I've given you about the patient, about the login, all these are mainly test cases. What we've done in equivalent partitioning, boundary value analysis, decision table, state transition, all those are test cases. However, thorough with one, in order to be true with one's testing, one could often end up with too many test cases. To avoid such scenario, one should find the best test case design technique. That's it again, as per one's requirement, so as to reduce a significant number of test cases. We don't just want to bring a lot of jargons in. We want to make sure that correct, predefined test cases are done with good coverages. These test case design techniques help create effective test case covering the various features that determines the quality and value of a product. You see, that's why I birth you first with those test case design so that you can understand where I'm coming from. So that takes us how to write good test case as far as possible. Write test cases in such a way that you test only one thing at a time. Please, I will emphasize one thing don't bring 10 things for me at a time. It doesn't make don't make it too ambiguous because 10 things can stop. Let me give you an example. You were told to test a field, a website, and you have written all the form in one test case. In one test case. So what you said is that to be able validate that you can write the name, first name, last name, everything just in one. The question to you is, you have written one test case. If I write the first name and I test the first name is not working as expected, do you know what you have done? You have delayed me in the rest. We cannot move further to the next ones. So let your test case be precise, one thing at a time. That's what writing good test case. Do not overlap or complicate test cases. Please attempt to make your test case atomic, as simple, minute, simple thing once. Ensure that all positive scenarios and negative scenarios are covered. Language. So write the way you are going to write. Write in a simple and easy to understand language. Click on this. Click submit button. Submit button enabled. Write simple and easy to understand language. Use active voice instead of passive voice. Do this, do that. Click, submit, sign in. Those are use active voice instead of passive. Use exact and consistent name. So whatever name is on the form is what you should use. Whatever fields are there. If they say submit button, don't use login because it's not login. It says submit. If it says sign in, use sign in because it's sign in is not submit. Please. Those are the ways you can write good test cases. Please, I've emphasized it. Please take note. Characteristics of good test cases: accurate, exact, the purpose, the exact purpose, economical, no unnecessary steps or words, traceable, capable of being traced to requirements, repeatable, can be used to perform the test over and over, reusable, can be reused if necessary. Someone else can inherit the test script, quickly change it and change it to their own parameters, the values that they are using. It can be reusable. So remember, accurate, economical, traceable, repeatable, reusable. Please put it when you're writing your script. A script is a set of instructions that is performed on a system under test to verify that the system performs as expected. They can be written in either human language, used for manual testing, or scripting/programming language used for automated testing. A test script is part of a test case, and a test case can be either a single test script or multiple test scripts. Multiple test scripts are associated with single test scripts. When each test script provides a different way to test the scenario in the test case. So multiple ones. So you can't, like for example, if you have the fields and you feel that you already have maybe like 100 or 200 test case, you can link it and say, go to the next tab, validate these fields. So before that person finishes that step, he has to go to that next step, ensure that those fields are. So that's the way you can link it. For instance, a test case might require several scripts. That's it. To test the scenario in different test environment. So you can test it in different test environment. Both manual and automated scripts exist to exercise the test script. So you can use both of them. So that takes us to designing test case technique. So this is just my own test case, and I've written this just in a normal format. But I'm going to take you to that because this is a test case. Can someone tell me the reason why I'm still calling it a test case? Though I've written in a spreadsheet, you'll be wondering that this is a test case. This is test case. Yes. If you look at it, these are my test steps. So this is the patient. The patient has come with a condition. This is the steps that is going to be granted before then. Then the doctor have written all his test cases, his expectation. Now the doctor haven't seen the patient, so it's still a test case. When the doctor sees the patient, then we execute it. This is his actual. and this is pass or fail, then this is a whole script. So that takes me to the live class. So please, you tell me if you can see my screen. Let me pull up my Excel. 1 minute. So, mm, check me out. So 1 minute. So let me know, Rose, you can unmute. You can unmute. So you could just tell me once you're seeing my screen, but I'll tell you when I want you to, because I'm going to share another screen. So you're still seeing the last page where I stopped at the test case design, the script, correct, Rose?
That's number 2.
Huh?
So test script, I'm seeing number 2. That's where it stops. Or step.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what I want you to see for now. So let me open, sorry. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm pulling up the website, and we are going to use, let me take my website from here. We are going to use the Giftreet website as a case study here. The application. So let me at the time. So group gift rate. I'm just trying to bring up the website, please. Can someone please check for the Giftreet website for me, please? And put it on chat, please.
It says the application folder path does not appear to be set correctly. So
Yeah, that's
not,
what exactly I'm getting. So it's not working. So let me take another one. Blue Sky. So we are going to use Blue Sky as a case study here. Blue Sky. So let's go to your Blue Sky. We'll go to Blue Sky now. bluesky.com. Fantastic. So that's Blue Sky. Blue Sky is not for. So I will share my,
You're breaking up here. Maybe we can't hear you.
go back here. Oh, no. Can you hear me?
Yes, now. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, it's still mostly now.
Thank you. So, can someone tell me what you can see?
So is it bluesky.com?
So what can we can see now?
Yemi Ayola has
bluesky.com.
started sharing her
So
screen. That's
can
why
you give me? So you're not seeing the blue sky
I'm not
yet?
seeing bluesky.com.
Okay.
You
I'm
can't
seeing
see your screen,
Mhm.
madam.
Okay. So let me go back to. I'll have to share my whole screen. Don't worry. I'll have to share the whole screen. Don't worry, that's fine. I believe you can see my screen now because I can see it from here.
No, it's
Can
another
you see my screen now?
No, we can't see your screen. It's showing the
It's,
members.
yeah, it's Zoom that we can see. It's Zoom.
Yeah, we can see now.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Huh?
We can see now.
Yes, we can see blue screen.
You can.
Blue sky.
Yeah.
www.bluesky.
So good. So now, yes. So now someone should give me. Let me just we now. It's now chatting for every one of us. The class is open, so we can be talking together now. So give me the blue sky, this blue sky endpoint, the URL. So someone should pop it in the chat. So I'll pick it from the chat. You must give me the correct one, please. Please.
Yemi, your network is not acting. We can't really hear you.
Tell me.
It's the second one because
Hello?
you add the Citadel, so it has to be Blue Sky Citadel. Yeah.
No, I don't think it's the Blue Sky Citadel.
We can't hear the voice.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
It's
Maybe you need to log in back.
You can't hear me.
At
Yeah.
Can
all.
you hear me now?
I think it's better now.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, don't worry. I'll log out and come back. Is it better now?
No, it's not
Is it
better.
better now?
It's still distorted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, don't worry. Out.
Okay, is it the Blue Sky Citadel you want or Blue Sky?
It's a Blue
You
Sky
can
one.
see. No, this is just let's stop here. So it's fine. Before I continue, can you hear my voice now?
It's still distorted.
It's not as great as
Okay, let me just log out.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've taken Blue Sky. So our case study with Blue Sky is that the first thing is that we want to be able to maybe Blue Sky, we are tasked here to log in or to register. That's my expectation. Let's go to who with let me take a tax here about Mentors Home. So in the home page, because my expectation here is you want to register for a course. So it says QA Scrum Master certification. Maybe there's an issue with that. So like now, if you're testing this, I'm taking you. Look at this server. It says internal server error. So you just need to, you can just take, it's already giving additional information. This is more like a bug. It shouldn't be on that website. So what you would have done is just to take a screenshot of it using your snipping tool and take it. So when you are doing, when you're taking a snip, just look for the snipping tool. Go to your start menu like this. When you start typing SNI snipping, it should bring something else. It's quite slow for me here. Open. When you open it, it tells you, brings up this pop-up message. It takes you like this. You can see this cross. I start taking it from the cross. You must make sure the cross is at the edge. You hold down your your pad, your computer pad, and you drag it. When you drag it, this is the whole thing I want to see. So when you see it, this is the picture that I have taken. I can save it, I can attach it, I can copy it and open it. If I copy it now, this is a copy button here. If I copy it, I can paste it in an email, in a document. Let's say, no. So, sorry. So I can take it and put it here. Let's say this is a document, and in this sheet, I can Control V. That's that same thing that I've pasted here. So if you send this one and say, put the step, and you just give them, you don't even need to say much because you've already taken the URL, they know where it is, so the developers can find it themselves. So that's an easy way to raise a bug, and you write the step to reproduce it. I've killed one, that's meaning I've explained to you how to write a bug. That's, so let's go back to that. I will navigate back. So my expectation here, session 2023. I click winter session 2023 from the gallery. I open it and it tells me picture. How do you, let's go. Can someone walk me through how do you register? Apply for internship. So if you apply for internship, you click on internship. You can enter sign up. So that's what we want to do now. We can do sign up or login. So, but I'm going to do sign up because I don't have a login for this. I'm going to go back. So the script now, our requirement tells us that we should go to Blue Sky Citadel page. I mean, that's the login. This is our test environment, but we've not been given this test environment. It's just a requirement. We don't have it. We can't see it. What I'm doing here is because I have this application with me. But if I don't have application, if the user story was given to me, like now you have your project mandate, you have been given user story, you don't know what is going to tell you. So from here, you don't have the link. When you have the link, your test environment, you can update your test script. But the first thing is for you to first have a preparation about what exactly you want to test. So that takes me to the first one, and I copy this link. I want to start writing my script. So in my script, there are 5 major things that I need you to here. So in my script, so remove this page here like this. I'm going to take the whole of this. So in my script, I'm going to copy this in my script. I just need these 5 headers because I'm going to write high-level script. And that's what my expectation is for you guys too. We just need to know how to use Excel a bit. You can see that it's not that difficult, but it's just for you to know how to use it a bit, just a bit of it. Basic level, you're fine. basic level, you're fine. So that's me. That's just the 5 that I want to. So in a nutshell, this is just the first one I want to do. So we want to sign up. Sign up. So we want to valid sign up. Sign up. So the first what our first is, I love to do things neatly. Mhm. So valid sign up. So now my to this here, I will go to course. So the first thing is these are our steps we want to write. So copy this URL. So under your test step, remember I used one test ID. You can make it any test. Like now, I don't know. I'm working on Blue Sky. I can change mine to say blue BLUC underscore 001. That's the way I choose to make my own test case. You can make your test case any ID because I just told you that you are free to do it. But once you're doing for this, it must be consistent. So 2, 12, so everything must be consistent.
Sorry, we don't have a
So
test step.
valid,
Are we supposed to have a test step in there as well?
you said?
Are we supposed to have a test
Yes.
step?
Thank you. We had to have a test step, yes. So in a test description, so I'm going to change everything now. 1 minute. Insert. We are far ahead of time. So this first one will be my test condition. So what is the condition we are testing on? So we take this Control X to move that. So that's the condition we're setting up. Valid sign up is my condition. What are the steps that I want to start with? So I want to tell you, you will tell me, go to Blue Sky Citadel. Citadel website. You can add the URL. So after then, if you look at it, that's where we went to. So that's the URL. From there, we went to course. When that one is displayed, you go to courses. From courses, apply for in navigate to courses. So the first thing is that as we are doing it, we'll be writing our expected. When you go to Blue Citadel, when we enter there, the next thing what is our expectation? Blue Sky Citadel homepage is displayed. Guys, am I to write an actual result? Nobody, if you know, just let me know. Am I to write an actual result for now? Let's assume
No,
that I've not seen the application.
no.
Fantastic. The reason that we have said no is because because we are writing it from the requirement. We've not seen it. We are not expected to write. We are not expected to write our actual result for now. So navigate to course, drop down list, drop down displayed. So when the drop down is displayed, the next thing I'll do is to select I think select apply the same way this what they've written in the field. Don't forget, I told you you can't. It's courses apply for internship. So I must use the same thing for internship. That's the next thing I'm going to do. So when we click on select, I'm going to apply for internship. We click on apply for. So
You're breaking off a lot, Nemi.
now,
We can't hear
hello,
you. Okay, we can hear the hello, but before then, no.
hello.
We can hear
Oh,
you
no.
now.
Okay, before that, but you can hear me now. Okay, so now, please always let me know once I'm cutting off. So the next thing is the prep major page is displayed, or the internship. Let's take it that the internship page is displayed. Internship page is displayed. Internship landing page is displayed. So after the internship landing page is displayed, I want to sign up. So sign up is the major content that we have here. So click on
You're breaking again.
click
You're
sign
breaking.
up.
Nemi, we can't hear you.
Hello. Oh.
No, we can hear you now.
Okay. Okay, you can hear me now.
Yep.
Okay, I'm just trying to bring it to that. Okay, so click sign up. So when you click this sign up, so sign up page, sign up page is displayed. You can see when I told you that writing good test cases, you must do one thing at a time. I'm not bringing everything together. And each of it must be defined, simple, precise. We don't need long words. It's easier for people. No one was ready to sit down to read epistle. So when sign up page is displayed, you enter username, email. Each of this has to be done. So username, email, password again, and click register. So I'm sorry, I just need to get a copy from somewhere. I can use this. So just to enter username, email, password again. So what I'm just going to do, I might just write it. You just see enter user name. I hope you can still hear me. Enter username as Yemi. Email Yemi at test.com. Password as Yemi 1 2 3 4 that then password again. So these are the fields that we need to then click register button. So this is just it. So what's your expectation? Username entered. Password. Then password again entered. Then the last one is register or user disable user should be able to register. So this is virtually our expectation. Just tidy up by, we could just merge this one, merge and center. Merge and center. That's just, so predominantly this is our script. So now what it means by actual is that, let's say we've not seen the system and we're following everything and I'm able to sign up. I put my name, my username, and I'm able to click register. So when I click on register, it should just come up and then it means I'm seeing. So now if I go to, let me navigate back. So it says blue.com.
We can't hear you very well. You're breaking off a lot. Not good.
So
I can't hear. Maybe we should start afresh tomorrow.
It's really, really distorted. We can't hear majority of the things.
Yeah. Since 10 o'clock, we can't hear anything.
Hello.
We can't even deduce what you're
We can't hear or can't understand anything there.
Okay. Okay. Can we do it tomorrow?
Yes. That would be brilliant.
We'll come tomorrow. Can you hear me?
It's really bad. It's breaking, like, I can hardly hear one of what you're saying.
So please, you can just